Hello and welcome back, everyone, to a new commentary on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries, Wizard of Legend.
Behold!
This is a video game, and in fact, it is a very awesome video game. A video game that I am quite actually fond of, mostly because I'm decent at it. Not great, but decent.
Wouldn't you like to move as swiftly as these wizards?
We can, see? Whoosh. Alright, so, most of this part is us going to be going through Tutorial Island. And Tutorial Island for this game is, showcasing a lot of the core gameplay elements that we've got access to. We have different things called Arcana that we can collect and use. We have a 2.5D environment that we can interact with. We have persons to talk to in order to get hints and world building info from. We have different each of the Arcana that we have the ability to acquire have different elements ascribed to them. And they all do different things. Hi, annotations, Gerdat.
Yep. Annotations, Gerdat, checking in.
See, we'll eventually be able to cast that kind of fire spell, Mr. Cloud.
This, rather adorable style, which is highly reminiscent of Pokemon, by the way. Great introduction to the wizards. They all wear hoods, they have abilities, but do not necessarily always have test dummies on which to practice on.
Right. Also, a good portion of the portraits here are backers and staff.
Yeah, I figured that these were based on real likenesses. I've read all the books written about signature arcana. They all seem to have enhancements that alter their spells in some fashion.
Yes. Signature, we will go into and actually explain when it becomes relevant, because unfortunately, we don't really have the ability to build signature right now, because we're not really in combat.
But outside the walls of this museum is a very real and dangerous and pingy-pointy world.
Alright, so now that we have Exploding Fireball, here's what the Exploding Fireball Signature Arcana does. You get 3 fireballs instead of just 1. And they deal...
We're upgrading even before.
And they deal an absurdly high amount of damage. Honestly, Exploding Fireball is one of the better, more generic spells in the game. Hey, Zeal.
Oh, it's a likeness of it. Oh. Look at all the characters that we're going to see at some point. Red, green, and blue person.
Hey, Freya is more than just a blue person. She's an ice queen. She's also honestly one of the easier of the elemental masters that we'll be dealing with. But yes, our embodiments of chaos also have different class roles themselves: a warrior, rogue, and magician, or if you would prefer, warrior, rogue, and caster.
These knights look
Chaos
so menacing.
Knight.
Wouldn't you like to be a Chaos Knight?
No, I would not. Chaos Mage, and we already looked at Chaos Rogue. Hey, Isaac. He is telling us about Chaos Arcana. These are extremely situational Arcana that, although we don't get to test with during the Tutorial Island, are usually relatively powerful, but they kind of need to be built around in order to get most of them. There's also crystals and coins. Yes, we will be getting coins and crystals throughout our playthrough. Here, have a demo.
Welcome to the Chaos Trials. Good luck. I know you can do it.
Alright, and dash over pits.
Nice. So can you fall into the pit?
Yes, you can fall into the pit.
Legend of Zelda style. Oh, we're actually getting attacked now.
Yes, we are.
So as you take hits, your health bar steadily takes damage.
Yes.
And then when your health is down to 0, it's game over.
Ooh, Frost Fan. Frost Fan is actually a pretty good spell too. I don't actually show off anywhere near as much of the Arcana as I want, but see, if you misplace your dashes, it's very easy to end up in the pits.
And you just take a little amount of health damage when you fall into a pit?
Yes, you take a little bit of, I believe it's a percentile amount of damage when you fall into a pit. I think it's 5%. Giant chaos slime that separates into a bunch of smaller slimes.
Just because the enemy is defeated doesn't mean it's gonna stop attacking you. Pretty decent pace for a game this simple.
Also, the food buffet has got an infinitely respawning health orb. Isn't that nice of it, Mr. Cloud?
Yeah, keep a lookout for those infinitely respawning health orbs, because I reckon those are going to come in handy for proceeding away from the boss fight.
Again, Mr. Cloud.
Well, I guess we'll just have to rely on potions and resting.
Potions specifically, yes. Ooh, sushi dinner. I've never actually had sushi. Oh, also,
really?
There are relics available for us to use. We'll be getting into those as they become more relevant, and other cloaks. Yes. Here is our grimoire.
You wear the red cloak for fire immunity. You wear the blue cloak so you can breathe underwater. You wear the green coat because you couldn't get either of the other two.
No, they're not that powerful. The red and blue cloaks are actually very basic. They have no passives on them. So, as Annotation Gerdat decides to spoil here, Wizard of Legend is in fact a roguelike. That is what the Chaos Crystals are for, to passively increase your collection. Well, not passively, but to actively increase your collection in order to give you more options for, exploring through the game.
That's why this game looks like almost exactly like Binding of Isaac.
Because we are in fact a 2.5D roguelike, just like Binding of Isaac was. We have less good animation than Binding of Isaac does, but in exchange, it's also significantly less grotesque. So there.
Yeah. I think a little break from the grotesquerie and the other taboos that they put in the game, for lack of a better word. This is much more appropriate now. I feel like we're in Beauty and the Beast.
A little bit, because yes, all of our furniture, comes with punny names and decent tutorial options. I will never again talk to Cammy. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do it. Mimi, I'll end up talking a bit too, because I like to switch out what my starting relic is going to be.
Mimi the Mimic Chest.
Yes, friendship bracelet.
So if this is your introduction to RPGs or roguelike, then you're going to be discovering a lot of the stuff that they're paying homage or parody to from this game and other sources as well.
I wouldn't say that, to be perfectly honest. Wizard of Legend is almost entirely self-contained, to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't think that I can actually recall any references to other big independent games in its entire run.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about the tropes.
Oh.
I mean, like, mimic chests. Mimic chests have been a thing since freaking Dungeons and Dragons.
Even before then.
Yes.
All right.
Now we're gonna need some
we bought
money.
Cabby Cinnamon Hots. We bought the Bouncing Surge. Thankfully, the game starts you off with 100 Chaos Crystals, and then we got stupid lucky, where one of our first wizarding cloaks that we had the ability to purchase was Avarice. What this one does is it actually increases our gold and gem gain whilst we're going through the trials. Unfortunately, our current basic one, Air Slash, is actually an Arcana that I really dislike. It pretends to be a melee Arcana, but it's not. It doesn't gain the benefits of being melee. So,
that you can dash into opponents to do damage to them.
With specific Arcana, yes, that is what Air Burst will allow us to do. However, a majority of your dash Arcana won't actually do that. So it is important that you know what your dash Arcana does and when and how best to utilize it. In the moment, as it were. Hey, Cedric.
So the game is getting you acquainted with the shops and the wardrobes.
And now we start our first run.
So you can change your approach to the trials.
Yes. Now, because this is actually my my second time, my third time, in fact, starting from scratch in this game, I am going to be specifically trying to do some pretty set in stone things that I want to accomplish throughout the playthrough. It's going to take me a long time to get there, and we're not going to see the entire journey because it is a roguelike, so showing the entire journey is just not something that would be, either enjoyable or feasible, because I do a lot of runs off screen attempting to get chaos gems for specific goals.
Now, because it's a roguelike, that means that if you die, that you have to start from the very beginning?
Yep.
So, talk about a way to put the player more in control, not only, how well they do, but also what is a complete game experience. Because when you die, you're dead and the game's over. A complete
game experience in Wizard of Legend is technically successfully making it to the end of the Chaos Trials and taking down the final boss. Credits will play will play after that, and for a good portion of players, a single run is actually a decent playthrough of Wizard of Legend. To the point where even my first playthrough, I was just happy enough just getting the credits and putting the game down from there. And I do believe that this is one of the few roguelikes that actually rewards you with a very fulfilling gameplay experience just with getting the credits as an end goal. A good portion of other roguelikes, in comparison, actually have the problem of, hey, you got the credits the first time. You want to actually crank up the difficulty with some mutators? And Wizard of Legend has that ability, but they're randomly selected mutators before you start your run. So, and I'm pretty sure you don't actually get additional benefits for clearing the additional mutators runs. Plus they cost upgrade resources in order to start those runs.
So would you recommend Wizard of Legend for first-time players doing roguelike?
Despite how much I love it, I would not, because Wizard of Legend is actually somewhat mechanically dense, despite how simple the controls and your interaction with the game itself actually is. To be perfectly honest, if you are looking for an action RPG, to be perfectly honest, akin to Diablo, Torchlight, or even just trying to think of another really good one, like akin to like Diablo, Torchlight, or Gauntlet, perhaps. Then I would definitely recommend trying out this game as a decent roguelike spin on parts of the formula, because the action combat in this game is actually extremely satisfying once you have builds set up and ready to execute. However, as a roguelike, I think it's actually a bit too simple for a roguelike, even for your first one. It won't actually give you a lot of the things that more popular roguelikes in the genre will give you. Specifically stuff like Binding of Isaac and Slay the Spire that have extremely expansive and more noteworthy collection goals with their replays. Like Binding of Isaac specifically has got the goal of specifically trying to get all the additional characters unlocked. What we're doing here specifically is attempting to clear the Pinata challenge by cycling through our attacks correctly in order to, keep him in stun state and do enough damage in order to blow him up. And for doing so,
Nice.
we get another Arcana. Waha! And a bunch of coins. To be the most honest that I can, I love this game. I do. It has problems, but a majority of the problems are problems that I tend to have with a bunch of the other roguelikes that a lot of people enjoy. So,
Well, talk about a game that rewards players for already knowing the ropes. You flow, you find the things, you get the items, you make decisions with them. So I could already feel the amount of practice that went behind just this.
in the next episode, we'll continue our first run in Wizard of Legend. Be safe, everybody.